Alright, evidently this is way past my deadline of February 25th, but fuck it. I've got a script and I'm riding this bitch to the end. So here we go. Today we wish Link and Zelda a happy 25th anniversary. And what better way to celebrate this joyous occasion than with an interesting program on Windows and Linux, Zelda Classic. This is what is essentially a reverse-engineered Legend of Zelda on the PC, complete with no slowdown bugs, an infinite amount of save games, and the greatest feature of all, and something I have personally dreamed about all my life, a quest editor. That's right, make your own Zelda. You are in control of what the world looks like, what enemies you fight, what items you can find, who you talk to, what they say, where the warps go, what the music sounds like. You are in control. Unfortunately, it's still sketchy as to whether or not this program is legal, so I can only tell you to Google Zelda Classic and download the 2.5 RC3 beta, and keep tabs on the page where you got it because the final version is due to be released soon. But once you download it, you have three EXEs. One is for the game itself, which does not belch, but it does come with the first and second quests from the NES game, and the third and fourth quests for the Super NES remake. Another EXE is for the launcher that runs the other two applications. And the third one is for the quest editor, which we will be covering today. When starting the quest editor in 2.5, due to all the advances and additional features, you get four options: an authentic NES, which has all the flaws of the actual cartridge; a fixed NES, which is not bound to the limitations of the NES hardware, as well as having all the bugs and slowdown removed; the Satellaview Zelda engine with all of the upgrades of the Super NES, and a hybrid of the NES game and Link to the Past. Today, we'll be focusing on the fixed NES, since we know the features are intact. You could choose a Link to the Past map to work with if you would rather enjoy the additional features, but because this is a beta, there's no guarantees that this will work. Plus, Link to the Past features are for expert users, and neither of us are at that level yet, so just won't be covered in this video. When starting, you'll notice some white noise on the top and left of the screen. Should probably ignore that. This is your edge of the world border, letting you know that you can't go any further. You'll also note the white noise in the minimap in the bottom left corner. That indicates screens that have yet to be used. If you scroll down with your arrow keys to the bottom left corner, you'll find the two cave screens where you would normally talk to the old man, the old woman, the merchant, or the moblin. You can also change who you'll be talking to altogether, but we'll get to that later. Before we do any doodling with the map, like I just tried to do there, we need to set the header for the quest. For this, you'll need to go to the quest menu and select the first option, header. Version numbers are irrelevant, since we're just dicking around, of course, learning the craft. But you will need to come back here later when you wish to upload your quest to a site that hosts quests. We'll also be typing in a title for our quest and author name. For this, we'll be calling this Bomar's World. And the author being Chris Smith, which is my name. We'll start with a basic 9-square 3x3 map. Choose a starting point that you feel comfortable with and start drawing basic peach squares. I'll be starting with screen 37 myself. We'll add details in a bit, but for now, just start laying down dirt. A quick method would be to right-click the screen and select Replace All. Now your screen should resemble your kindergarten teacher's left butt cheek. Now go to the top left menu, or just top menu, select Edit, then click on Copy, or press C. Yay for clipboards. Now all you need is to press V on a blank screen and paste away at however many screens you wish. You might have noticed that there's a blue background around your completed screen. Don't be alarmed, you didn't miss a spot. This was intentional by the developers to make sure that you knew what was on the adjacent screen, so that you knew the best way to line the screens together. The last thing you would want to see happen is see your character move off the screen and find yourself stuck in a tree or a mountainside or on the next. As you can see, I'm adding a water edge to the current screens so that the player cannot leave the 3x3 grid under any circumstances. You could also use trees or mountainside, or if you're feeling rather daring, dungeon walls. Oh yeah, you can build dungeon walls on the top side. Just keep in mind that building dungeon walls by hand takes time and a lot of patience. Speaking of objects and details, let's look at your choice of icons on your right. As you can see, there's 3 sets of objects. They're all the same. This was another measure to make it easier for you to customize map layouts by allowing you to have quicker access to different sections. It's possible to import custom tile sets with more graphical detail, but for now, we'll stick with the NES flavor. By the way, if you chose to make your 3x3 world an island, this is important. While on any of the bordering screens with water, go to the screen menu and select Screen Data. You'll see a set of variables that we'll explain later, but for now, go to Screen Flags 2 and make sure the toggle Allow Ladder is checked, and repeat for the other 7 squares that border the wild blue wilderness. When you're comfortable with how your overworld is detailed, we can begin with some of the finer details, like your spawn point. For the sake of this tutorial, we'll be adding one to the Whoopi Goldberg square of our 3x3 grid, and placing the Get Cardboard Sword Here cave in the same area. It'll be important that you have the respawn points covered, otherwise when you exit the cave, you'll be stuck in the upper left corner and you can't do jack crap. So we'll start with our initial spawn by clicking the green warp icon in the bottom center of the screen. You'll see a green box in the upper left. Click and drag the green box to where you want your player to start the game from. Now, let's handle where you exit the cave. Click the icon in the bottom row with the A marked on it, and place the blue outline directly below the cave entrance. Now you have a definite exit from the cave. Next, go to the quest menu and select the strings feature. This will let you set the text that a character will say, and the style of text that you prefer. To create a new message string, click on the number next to new string, which by default is 1. For this tutorial, I will type in Bomar throw football. Bomar throw stick. Stick hurts things. Also keep in mind, you can type in lowercase. I just felt like typing in uppercase because I felt like it. This will ultimately give the hint that I'll be associating this message string with a female character. Also note that the text is wrapped around, creating an incomprehensive message. Luckily, you can adjust the message accordingly with the given spacing. You have the option of having the character speak multiple message strings in one instance, but for now, we'll stick to the one string formula. We now have established that a person will be in the cave, and that the person will be saying something, but the person is yet to be established, as is the item being given to the player. Go to the screen menu and select Guy. I'll be choosing Amma for the sake of this tutorial, but who ultimately gives a starter weapon to the player is entirely up to you. Next, choose Message String, and choose our number 1 entry. Next, choose Room Type, and pick Special Item. And then finally, for Special Item, choose Sword number 1. Wooden. Now go to the quest menu. Select DMAP. And choose DMAP 0. This is your overworld. Now, even though you set your spawn point in the center of your 3x3 map, you will still begin in the upper left corner of the map. Setting the continue field to the appropriate screen will fix this. By default, you're set to the Mechanics tab, so you can see where you can find your screen value by looking at your minimap. The best way to read the numbers is by going vertically, then horizontally. We are currently in square 337, so we will be setting our continue to square 37. Now we have Link's starting position fully set into place. Since this is an overworld map, you may or may not want to stick to the tradition of going into a cave and meeting a person who has an item or is selling items or information. If you wish to continue this idea of going into caves, this next step is very important. Go to the Flags tab and check the box that says Use caves instead of item sellers and special rooms, and guys are in caves only. After that, exit out, click on Quest, Map Count, and make sure it's set to 2. Finally, go to Screen and select Tile Warp. This will allow you to make the cave entrance to the standard Get Sword Here room. The default cave is screen 80. Now for a technical explanation. You can have up to 255 maps and 511 designated maps, or DMaps. You might be asking, what's the difference? I would say, excellent question. Also, you need to brush your teeth more. The standard maps are the general map data consisting of the tiles, terrain, and the usuals. Designated maps, however, can be used to store multiple dungeons on the same map. In fact, this was necessary when the original Legend of Zelda was being made, as it only had enough space on the Famicom disk's 512 kilobyte disk to store 6 maps entirely. To put it short, designated maps allow you to section off a part of a map and make it into its own separate entity. Heading back to DMaps, clicking on the Appearance tab will allow you to change the overall color palette for that designated map, as well as add a title to go over the minimap in the upper left corner. As you can see, I'm naming this place Bomarland, because the legendary Bomar the Baker has made an island made of derp. You can also add an intro to your map. This will appear when you appear on the island for the first time. And to top it off, you can alter the appearance of the subscreens. For when you're above and below ground. Clicking on the Music tab will allow you to set the background music for your designated map, be it the stock Zelda music, the dungeons, or even an imported MIDI file of your own. The Maps flag allows you to add graphics to your mini-maps and your subscreen maps. As a precaution, set the dungeon subscreen map to 19,525, the classic NES flavor. And finally, we have the Disable tab, which allows you to set which items you will choose to not have in your quest. For the sake of this tutorial, we will leave this alone. Congratulations! We've built the opening screen and set the old woman in place to give you the stick. Bad news, unfortunately we're just getting started. But luckily it gets easier from here. Now because we used the Whoopi Goldberg square for the Get Sticks scene, there's only 8 potential places we can place dungeons, and thus, there couldn't be a level 9 without adding a 10th screen. Luckily, we don't have to abide by that rule, because we're going to shorten the amount of Triforce pieces. To do this, go to the Quest menu, and select Rules. You can find a list of subcategories for Quest rules. Choose Items. My, that's a lot of features you can add to the game. Some even present a challenge to your quest by allowing the player to rethink the overall strategy. For now, let's click on 3 or 6 Triforce total. And OK it. But before we start working on dungeons, let's add some NPCs. Go to the upper center square and draw what you feel are the makings of a basic cave. But we will be drawing no entrance this time. This will be a cave only accessible via explosives. Also, in case you feel like using another color as for the rocky exterior, press the plus or minus keys on your number pad. The green color palette is 2, the red is 3, and white is 4. There are other colors, but they don't mesh well with the skin of our kindergarten teacher's left butt cheek. So choose your colors carefully. After building the housing for your cave with no entrance, go to the screen menu and select Secret Combos. Secret combos are where after interacting with a tile in a certain way, it changes to something else. In this very unusual case, a cave entrance. Or is it quite so unusual? Now click the Bomb tab and choose the black space next to Bomb. It's currently blank since we have yet to set any secret combo tiles. Duh. Personally, I chose combo tile 36, thinking I was going to have to remember it later. It turned out that's not the case, as the editor remembers what you set the combo as, unlike Interpol for Xbox Live Arcade, which tends to forget you spent $10 on what was essentially a Where's Waldo type game, and have to re-download the unlock file every time you boot it up. But I digress. Now that you have the secret combo set, click the icon to the right of the spawn tile in the lower center tile that looks like a black tile with a skull and an X. At least from a distance anyway. That is your combo flagger. Now click flag number 6, which involves explosives. You'll return to the editor, ready to drop combo flags for cave entrances. And finally, pick your entrance. Now if you make a mistake, go back and select a combo from that same place and choose 0, which serves as your combo eraser. Now click on the Warp A tag, again, lower left corner of the lower center tools. And drag the blue outline to the space in front of the cave. Congratulations, you just created a bombable cave entrance. Now let's put something in there. Go to Quest and then Strings. And make a new string for a shopkeeper. And then go to Miscellaneous Data and select Shop Types. Change the first one to sell hard containers. Then Ring 3, which is a new item. And finally Shield 3, which is a mirror shield. We will be setting each item for 1 rupee apiece. Yes, we're really doing this. Now go back to Screen and change the room type to Shop. And now change the room type, the shop type to 0. Change the guide to whoever you want to sell things to you. And change the message string to match your new shop string. You've just created a shop. Yay! Would you like to do another? Next, go to the center left square and construct a basic cave. No basic frills this time, just a basic entrance. This time we'll be making a drugstore. So let's create a string for the pharmacist by again going to Quest and Strings. This time message 3. Once again, go to Miscellaneous Data and select Shop Types. This time we're working on number 1. By the way, you can have up to 255 individual shops, and you can give them names to tell them apart when making new ones. So go to shop number 1 and list all 3 item types as Potion 2. Potion 2 being, of course, the red one, because that's the only one that's worth a jack crap. And again, we're doing it all for 1 rupee apiece. Now go to Screen, change the room type to Potion Shop. And that enables the shop being locked until you show the merchant the paper. Papers! And now set the guide to whomever you want to sell you the goods. Set the shop type to number 1. And set the message string to 3. Now set the warp A exit. Again, the blue A, B, C, or D icons on the bottom to just below the cave. And now you have your potion shop. With the most powerful protection and shield, instant maximum health, and now cheap potions, I know this constitutes as a game breaker, but it's not like this is a serious quest. Plus, we're only getting started. He 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 he. Speaking of game breakers, we should put up a sword upgrade room. Go over to that center right area of the map and construct another entrance. Now, construct message string number 4. Set the room type for special item. Set the guide to whoever you like. Set the message string to number 4. And set the special item to sword 4. This is the Master Sword. This is another new item to Zelda Classic. It requires more than 12 hit points, and it's more powerful than the Magic Sword. In some earlier versions of the Zelda Classic game, it was originally the Golden Sword from Link to the Past. Either way, most enemies go down with only one shot. Now, aside from the dungeons we'll be laying down, there's one more space to be filled, and we'll be doing that in a second. Keep in mind that for every entrance you build, you must create a tile warp. That takes you to screen 80. Once again, construct a basic entrance. This time we'll be making an information dealer. So go up to Screen, set your guy, set the room type for Pay for Info, construct string number 5. And assign it to the guy. For the sake of this tutorial, we'll be leaving this alone for now. But keep this screen in mind later. We'll definitely be revisiting it. Now, if you wish to test your quest, be sure to save your quest as something that you know you would remember. In this case, we'll be calling it Bomar. Bomar throw football. Bomar it gives stick. Stick hurts things. For whatever reason, our guy has disappeared. So we'll have to go back and fix it. But the important thing is that the person gave the stick. And obviously, because we don't have the letter, that cave is currently locked. Bomar hate pointy stick. Bomar just wants to bake bread. Now, for whatever reason, the character is able to pick up the Master Sword at only three health bars. And as you can see, we had not set an exit point for the map. So instead of just exiting the cave, we were warped outside the cave. We will be fixing this in part 2. And as a fun fact, the eyes will follow your character everywhere you go. Creepy. One other thing to note, whenever you're testing your game at the same time you're running Zelda Classic Quest Editor, any changes you make to the map will not take place in the game until after you end your game and select retry. It'll only work if you set it to retry. If you try saving it, it will no longer recognize your quest file, and thus you'll have to recreate a quest file. We'll be stopping here for now, but I will be starting again later tonight. Until then,